Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. Um, I'm just coming here. I'm going to be bringing everybody a series of videos, just basically about current events. And I've heard a lot of people say they don't understand how people could be so heartless, and they don't understand what's going on, what's wrong with people. We got people in government that are very corrupt. They've been exposed for molesting children, raping women, and just regular, random, everyday people on the street are basically becoming very lawless, willing to hurt other people who've never done anything to them. And so we got what you call right now mass shooters. So I'm just going to be speaking on that to let everybody know what's going on. And I always do a series of writings before I speak because I am a writer. So it just feels more natural to organize words on paper and then deliver them to everybody. But I'm getting more acquainted with the camera, and I'm going to be doing more speaking because when I write and put different posts on Instagram, if you want to check me out on Instagram, I'm Hazel at Hazel1190s, and I'm also the same thing on Twitter, and those are my two main points of contact and conversation where I just basically break down all the things that I've been learning as I'm becoming a doctor. And these are some things that people need to know. So today I'm going to talk to you about mass shooting and what I'm calling mass shooter syndrome. And I did a post on this on Instagram yesterday, but I just want to expound on it a little bit more for people who don't understand and who don't know, because mostly what I'm dealing with here as a metaphysical doctor is I'm dealing with basically soul consciousness and the way that the chakra system works off of the soul. So, we have this basically two-dimensional model. Everybody looks at body, mind, body, mind. Okay, why did he do that? What made him think to do that? Well, some of it doesn't have to do with thought, but it has to do with your reasoning skills. When one or more of your chakras is blocked and energy is coming in, that and energy coming in from our soul is restricted, health and reasoning skills are severely affected. So, you know how you get an idea to do something, but then you think through it and be like, oh, no, that may not be such a good idea. Well, with mass shooter syndrome, that doesn't happen. Um, People think it's actually a great idea, and that's why they carry it out. They don't really realize what's going on with themselves because we live our lives here from a two-dimensional model of body and mind. We don't understand how um, the soul functions in being able to help us to synchronize our thoughts, reason with our thoughts, and to be able to have the life sustaining energies that build up electrochemicals in our brain. So I'm just going to read a little bit from what I already wrote because, of course, it's already prepared, and then I'll just speak on it. But when one or more chakras is blocked and energy coming in from our soul is restricted, health and reasoning skills are severely affected. If you have ever wondered what's wrong with certain people that have made a series of bad decisions, or a jailbird who keeps going back to prison, or a person who keeps using drugs, you have not educated yourself on how the soul works in unison with the body to transmit light for higher expressions. And what I mean by higher expressions is that in the realm that we live on, this is basically an animated realm. So we can all move, we can walk, we can talk just like the animals on the planet. But the animals on the planet are basically they're basically controlled by instinct, which means they go along with the environment and how their bodily functions make them feel. So if they feel hungry, they eat. If they, feel like they want to attack something, they do. But we're not supposed to act like that because we do have a soul, and our soul helps us to have reasoning skills to be able to decide what's right and what's wrong, what's going to be beneficial, what's not going to be beneficial, what's going to hurt other people, and what's going to lift other people up. Animals don't have that. So, without our soul transmissions, when our soul is unable to communicate with our body and our mind, we are also depleted of life sustaining energies that translate into electrochemicals like dopamine and endorphins. And if anybody's watching this and they're familiar with psychology, and even if you're not, I'm going to break down to you. You know, we have a chemical process going on in our brain, certain hormones and chemicals that our body makes. Um, they help us to be able to send messages throughout different portions of our person. So that way our heart can run, our lungs can run, and it's also the same way with our thoughts, how we think. We can be able to, add, subtract, do different types of activities or different types of reasoning and deductions to where we come up with better ways to do things, solutions, or answers to the problems or questions that we have. So when these chemicals are messed up, a lot of times people say, if you hear anybody say, well, I've been diagnosed with a chemical imbalance. Okay, the reason why, I'm about to tell you why they've been diagnosed with a chemical imbalance. But when your soul transmissions are off and it is unable to communicate with your body, those chemicals are not being filtered properly, they're not coming through, or they're sending the wrong messages to your brain because those chemicals are the physical manifestations of the energies that are coming through from our soul. So, when these chemicals are deficient or too much gets produced, we call this a mental or chemical imbalance, as I just explained. We should really call it an energy imbalance because it is. It's the energies that from the soul that are imbalanced. So, therefore, the chemicals that represent those energies are either being produced too much or they're lacking. And so, mass shooters are really an example of how these internal energy centers are improperly working. So, um, I mean, just think of the soul as like the motherboard or something on your computer. And if you get a virus or something, it messes up your motherboard. Programs aren't going to work right. You aren't going to be able to get online. You may not be able to access certain applications on your computer, and you begin to receive less and less benefits from your computer system. That's how our bodies work with our soul. Our soul is like the motherboard, and when it can't um, function fully, then our body and our mind is affected by it. And so that's what you have being portrayed with mass shooters. And like I said, nobody knows this or is paying attention to it, basically, because we're going off of a two-dimensional model. But when that mass shooter goes out and shoots everybody, it's because he has like a virus in his motherboard. Something's wrong. Those life sustaining energies aren't being transmitted properly. Now the chemicals in their brain is all haywire and messed up. They can't reason properly. And so, you know, everybody's flooded with dark ideas. Okay, we're part darkness and part light. So every day, we have a certain amount of dark energy around us, and it gets into our minds, and we get ideas about different things that we can do to ourselves or other people, or just activities that we can do that are very dark. you know when we see a lot of stories on the news, this is what's happening to people when you don't understand how could they do that, what's wrong with them, this is what's happening. Those dark energies are flooding them, and they don't have any guidance or, any deduction or reasoning skills from their soul coming through. So, what happens is we act on our thoughts. So, basically, if your thoughts aren't being organized and aren't being filtered, by that soul motherboard, and these dark thoughts begin to grow, they begin to fester, they begin to increase and build inside of your psychic field. And, there's nothing that tells you, hey, this doesn't seem right because those soul energies aren't coming through. And so we got people stockpiling weapons, they've already got guns, and this soul energy is really depleted from their being, and they are not able to make the right decision that would protect everybody and keep us all safe. Um, Soul communications don't get translated properly. Beings experiencing blockage in two or more chakras have lapses in reasoning, are flooded by dark frequencies with no light to counteract them, behave based on ego gratification and instinct, are lower selves or animal selves, and are essentially short circuiting from the inside out or lack of soul energy. So basically, when there's always been some type of debate over nature versus nurture. So basically, when you say nature, you're saying the environment basically influences who you are. But when you say nurture, you're basically saying it's something instinctive inside of you, like some kind of intrinsic motivation. Okay, um, but some people don't have that. They don't have intrinsic motivation. They're always working off environmental cues. Their soul energy transmission is basically depleted. And I have to do a video on the tree of life so I can show you guys because that's basically what I'm talking about right now. Is how the tree of life is supposed to work, but it's not working correctly. So now we have a tree of death. Anyways, it's really sad, and I don't think they really want to do it. Like, they don't understand what's going on with themselves. And they really don't have any control. They're like an animal. They're just working off of the environmental cues that they get, and their instinct. If their instinct says, "Hey, I'm upset, I'm angry, get a gun, go out and kill everybody," hey, that's what they do. There's nothing to stop them if nobody's around them, and there's no people checking up on them, trying to see what's going on with them every day, or anything like that. They're gonna act on it. We need to have some compassion because everybody is messed up. They put things in food that have people hooked. And I was talking to my daughter the other day about, she said she was having a craving for Raising Canes. And she didn't understand it. And she knew she didn't need to be eating that every day. So she ended up meeting somebody and talking to somebody who worked for the restaurant. And they told her that they put this certain preservative in the chicken in the food that's very addictive. So if you become addicted to something and it starts producing those chemicals that those electrochemicals that give you pleasurable feelings, then yeah, you're gonna start craving it. That's how people get addicted to drugs. Um, Trauma and abuse also affects how our energy centers work. So, I got a lot of black people, a lot of my people saying it's okay to whip your kids and stuff like that, but that's not okay. The reason why it's not okay is because you're just looking at, oh, it doesn't hurt their body, it doesn't hurt their mind. Probably not, but it's hurting their soul. And those chakra centers are getting ruined by them constantly getting hit and beat. Their soul doesn't want to be in a body that's getting abused. It gives them bad feelings. So, the soul energies slowly stop coming through. Um, Sexual abuse, same thing. A body is, the soul is the part of the body that feels, that has emotions, and if you're hurting that body, that soul's going to feel it, and that soul is going to retreat. Okay? Retreating means they get quieter, they stop communicating. It stops communicating with your body. So, therefore, once those energies are cut off, once again, you have a malfunction. How we take care of ourselves, that's always important. If you don't care about yourself and you're always abusing your own body, you're always drinking, you're always doing drugs, you're always preoccupied with sex and, different things that are making your life energies deplete, soul's going to retreat. It's not going to stick around to get abused and stuff. It doesn't have to stick around. The human part of you has to stick around, but the soul doesn't have to stick around. It lives in a different dimension, okay? You're basically on like puppet strings when it comes to your soul. And when some of those strings get cut, then you're just out here wondering. Um, Mass shooter syndrome is a severe disconnect from soul energy, chaos manifesting. So there's no order, there's nothing organizing the way that your body works, the way that your mind works. And when that happens, that's the beginning of a mass shooting syndrome. I mean, they're going to pick up a gun and think, you know what, it's time to pop everybody, you know? So that's why we got people like the Vegas shooters, the guy who just went and shot up that church, the one who was running down the street and shot up a few schools and some people on his way down. These people are really sick, and they're sick from a different part. They're not body sick or mind sick. They're sick from the soul. And until they get the proper healing to get those chakra centers healed up and reintegrate their soul, all of their soul back into their body, they're going to suffer tremendously. And so are we. Um, Most of society is experiencing this. It coincides with the imbalance of energies inside the planet as well. So, you know how we've been having natural disasters, floods, earthquakes, hurricanes, different things like that. Well, the same thing that's going on with us is the same thing that's going on with the earth. We have a symbiotic relationship with the earth, and we feed off of the earth, and the earth feeds off of us. So different things that happen to us has also happened to the earth, and she's hurting right now too. So that's what we're seeing when we see all these weather disasters, explosions, and stuff like that. We are seeing the earth actually malfunctioning because of chakras inside the earth as well, imbalance. Um, Somehow, I think there was ancient knowledge of this that was taken and rewritten in books like the Bible. The Bible talks about the tree of life. Of course, Jesus talked about the sign of the times in the Bible, telling us about all of the weather disasters that were going to take place, the lawlessness that was going to um, be so, I mean, just rapid and just abundant, around us. I mean, make sure you lock your door every night because I do, because I'm telling you, you never know what could happen. And over here in Texas, I see a lot of robberies, a lot of rapes. I don't even really go too many places at night because, I mean, these chakra imbalance, these energy imbalances, these chakras malfunctioning. People don't care if you're a nice person. People don't care if you're minding your business. I mean, they just don't have the reasoning skills to be able to decide who should who they should you know be messing with and who they shouldn't be. And the violence just gets out of control because these people are being controlled by anger and they're being controlled by their anxieties. So, I mean, you have to really be aware of your surroundings, be protective of yourself, your being, be protective of the people around you, and make sure that you guard your place of residence, guard your vehicle when you're in your vehicle, and things like that. Um, like I said, they said some of these things in the Bible, and basically it's referring to this understanding of a body, mind, soul union. That's the only way for us human beings to be able to express our higher selves is when all those things are working together in unison. That's when we won't have any more disease or sickness and things like that. All those things are coming from um, problems with the soul communicating or the spirit energy communicating with your body and mind. Um, Mass shooter syndrome is a mindset that is a symptom of a soul sickness because the soul is unaligned with the body and mind. Even the person experiencing this is unaware that their chakras are not able to properly distribute soul energy. So look at me and know it gets worse. So when I say look at me, I had posted a picture of myself at dialysis because I am a dialysis patient. And I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I was kind of well, I lived in a household where there was chemical dependency and a lot of abuse going on, and I was really traumatized as a child. And I will just let you know that right now, I'm in the process of healing both my root and sacral chakras, and those were just the energies coming through there were basically just ruined, and it kind of messed me up as a person. And that's just two of my chakras that were ruined and cause me to have kidney failure. When your sacral chakra has a blockage, that basically has to do with water, and so that's why it affects your kidneys, how fluids are coming through and being processed. So, me, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical doctor. I just work with the psyche, and my niche is psycho spiritual knowledge. So, I won't talk too much about that, but when I'm talking about myself, I'll just let you know that's why I became sick, and I'm in the process right now of healing my chakras with meditation and self hypnosis. And I also have different practices that I do on a daily basis just to help myself with self care and everything because, like I said, all this stuff is coming from the inside. When you don't feel grounded, you don't feel comfortable as a person, or you're going through things, you need to basically do some self care techniques so that way you can be able to understand that you're in control of that and basically feel the reaction of being in control of that, which is you caring better about yourself, having better health, having better thoughts, attracting better people into your lives who are also going to give you that same care that you give to yourself. We teach people how to care for us actually in that manner. Um, Mass shooter syndrome is a mindset that is a symptom of a soul sickness because the soul is unaligned with the body and the mind. And like I said, when that alignment takes place again, which we're I think we're going to come upon the time um, soon where we're going to get the full alignment of our body, mind, and soul. I really believe that's what ascension is about. And that's how we're going to be able to uh, cure ourselves from diseases and heal ourselves from different ailments that we're going through and get our minds back into uh, sync with our soul to where we are thinking properly, we're reasoning properly, and we'll be able to fix a lot of problems of the planet once we do that. All the unequal distribution of wealth, homelessness, sickness, uh, all the acts of murder people do, molestation, rape, uh, sexual deviancy, all types of different things will be solved once we're able to get those transmissions back in from our spirit energy. Um, Even the person experiencing this is not aware that their chakras are not able to distribute the soul energy. Nobody's really paying attention to it. Nobody's really aware of it. Science hasn't confirmed the existence of consciousness or a soul yet. So we're basically people don't want to believe it because there's no proof. So with no proof, people are obviously unknowledgeable of what it is that is making them feel this way or think this way or act this way. Like I said, I'm one of the lucky ones because I had root chakra and sacral chakra damage. But some people are experiencing damage in every single root chakra. Every single root chakra is blocked. That means the energies are either not coming through at all or barely coming through. And so, you know, if you do have a body sickness, actually it's better than it manifesting in the mind, because when it manifests in the mind, people do things like, go to a hotel building and, you know, unload a gun on everybody that's on the bottom floor or whatever. I mean, it just doesn't matter. They just can't stop themselves. The urges are too strong. Um, people have a lot of obsessive, compulsive, and impulsive behaviors when they're not getting their soul transmissions, you know. So I just wanted to let you guys know about mass shooter syndrome and, why stuff like this is happening. Um, so when you see things like this happen, do not be surprised. Just make sure that you're more aware of your surroundings. Try not to associate with a lot of people that you don't know, because I'm going to do a video on mirroring too, because a lot of people are mirroring so they can be more relatable to other people, because they do sense that something is wrong, and they do sense that they aren't normal, but they don't know what it is. And when they copy other people's behaviors, it makes them feel normal, and it makes them feel like, oh, you know, I got this, I'm good, you know. So try not to associate yourself with people that you don't know. You need to be really aware of that. And that's it. I gotta go because I got some tomato and basil chicken wraps in the oven. I'm gonna get them and eat them. Oh, they're gonna be so good. But anyhow, like I said, you can check me out on Instagram at Hazel1190s, also on Twitter at Hazel1190s, and I'll be posting up more videos for knowledge and just to give you guys a little bit more understanding about how our psyche is connected to our spiritual energies, and how that works hand in hand and affects us on a day-to-day basis. And happy day, because you might not be watching this today. You might watch it in 2 weeks, but you have a good day. Blessed day.